Hey, people, Justice Warriors, Justice League. Happy midweek of your new year. How are you guys doing? I'm so sorry to surprise you with being almost on time. Here, let me make some minor adjustments. This is what happens when you make any adjustments whatsoever. There we go. I think that's better, right? Much better to not have the lamp like right there in the screen. So I've got nobody here with me. That's cool. I'll just be here all by my lonesome. Don't worry about me. I'll go ahead and get started. So please hit that like button or that like button. Make sure you're still subscribed. Share the video if you happen to like it. I'm sure you don't know yet. Hopefully you don't know yet, since we haven't really spoken about nothing. Turn on your notification bell to ring if you'd like to be notified when I surprise you with another live Ranch Boss surprise. And Alice, nice to see you guys. Anna Bean, thank you so much, everyone, for coming in. That's great. You know, with the four of us, I think we can get this baby off the ground. What do you guys think? How are you today? How is 2024 treating you so far? I feel like it's going to be a good year. I was surprised. I did a quick Google search right before I started to see if there's been an arrest in the Savannah Soto and her boyfriend Matthew G and baby Fabian. I was hoping that there'd be an arrest by now, but no such luck. So I'm thinking that there will be one soon. I think that the law enforcement got a lot of video footage of vehicles, of license plates, of faces, of a lot. Deconstructing Christmas decorations. Oh, that's a lot of work, Ranch Boss. And not that much fun, especially when you get pricked with those little dried up pine needles. That case is so messy. Hope they catch perps. Yeah, I mean, all of these cases are so disgusting. What surprises me in that case, and let me do my disclaimer real quick. Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of starting a conversation, hoping to have an intelligent discussion with Mark and Alice and Ranch and Anne, all of you. Hoping to be educational and learn something, and all these videos that I've made to date have been made for YouTube. It's an entertainment platform. So, yeah, that case is real sobering in a sense. I mean, it's a familicide. You don't see very many familicides. Unfortunately, you see too many, but they are more rare. And especially for it to be not done by a family member, which is what it looks like. It looks like it's not done by a family member. I guess we'll yet to find out. But yeah, there are a couple of things I wanted to say about it. I was honored to be on Zav Girl's panel last night. I wasn't on it for too long, but I did get in there to discuss some of the case and saw our dear friend, Miss Ara. She came in too. She stayed longer than I did. And I'm just really glad to see people having the discussions. And I liked what Ara was saying as far as not to make any stereotypes because they're Latin American. And I think that that's really important. Yeah, it's a whole different culture. San Antonio is a whole different culture than what I'm used to. I've never lived in Texas. I do know what it's like having loved ones that are caught up in that, let's just say, gang type of lifestyle, and it's absolutely terrifying. I think it's terrifying for the families. I think it's terrifying for the individuals that are in it. I can't imagine bringing a baby into a lifestyle like that. So it's just so freaking horrific that the mom wasn't spared, that the baby wasn't spared. And it does make you wonder if that was the intent was to get to the baby, was to get to the bloodline, so to speak, the descendants. So, um, maybe it's about Savannah's brother and her family assaulting and attacking the alleged unaliver of her brother in court in October. Maybe it's deals with Ruggs, with a D, that went bad with Matthew. Maybe it's something else entirely different. Maybe it's a snitching situation, maybe not. So until there's an arrest, I think the police know a lot. I think the videotapes that we're seeing, the footage, is probably like 1 to 10% of what they have, and that they clearly, in my opinion, blurred out the license plates in that infamous parking lot footage, and it's my guess that they have those license plates, and so it'll just be a matter of time. Of course, they always want to build their case as strong as they can before they get the arrest warrant and make the arrest, and they need to consider, uh public safety. They're probably surveilling the people that are their suspects. But yeah, just to make the city of San Antonio's population feel like it's safe to go to the grocery store, right? I mean, I don't know that it is anywhere in this day and age. So Alice says, also seems both families fighting aggressively now in impasse, no judgment. I'm Cuban American. Well, I'm sure that Savannah's mom's comment on social media didn't help to quell any harsh feelings between the families. I think the post was something to the effect of, my daughter's missing and her boyfriend's a good for nothing scumbag. Paraphrasing, of course. Why is Zav not on Kylie these days, Mark? I'm so glad you asked that. Um, so Kylie's case did come up last night and it was not pleasant. I wanted to talk about that. That was one of the main things I wanted to touch on today. So somehow it came up about AWP and how they were together or not together. And it was interesting. I was trying to be careful because the Zav girl crew is not my regular crew. So I was trying to, feel out, take the temperature of the chat and just tread lightly. I mean, I certainly don't want to offend people. And you guys know how I am. I will speak my freaking truth when I feel like I need to. So I did get in a bit of a pissing war with somebody. and, and I apologize. Of course, it's nothing personal. I didn't take it personal from them, but they said something to the effect, I can't remember the exact conversation. I haven't rewatched it, which I normally do since I'm, distracted in a million different directions. Um, the conversation was something to the effect of AWP breaking up, and people were saying that they didn't break up, and I was saying that they did, and then people were saying that, well, that was because of the essay that the Jared and his cousin and the lawsuit and all that, and I made a general remark that that's not what broke up AWP. And this is my opinion. This is clearly an opinion. I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I was fully expecting AWP to get blowed up because they held the keys, they held the secrets to the case of Kylie Rodney. So right before it happened, I was thinking, what do SF and these lowlifes have? Like, they got nothing. They need to launch an attack. They need to undermine the integrity of the entire crew. How the heck they gonna do that? And lo and behold, they did that. They did that very effectively. They did it very well. Sadly, the whole case got tanked, in my opinion. The whole freaking case went toe up and sideways, and nobody cared anymore about what was going on there with Kylie Rodney. It was a very effective gaslighting distraction. And It didn't need to be. It was just Jared, man. Just take Jared out of the picture. He was never in the picture. He should have never come out and spoken on some of these panels. He wasn't there. He knew he had this coming down the pike. He'd been served his paperwork, I think, in March or February. I remember there were emails with him and his cousin from March or February. So, of 2022. So then when the Kylie thing happened, that was August of 2022. And then the whole thing got blowed up somewhere around, I can't remember exactly, October-ish, give or take. We know that her remains or a car that matched her car and had the same license plate was found in Prosser Lake by Nick Wren and the AWP crew on September 21st. And then it was shortly after that, a few weeks later, that everything basically got demolished, in my estimation. So I was informed by someone in the chat that Doug is back with AWP, that Doug is back with Jared, which I did not know. And that just gave me even less respect for him than I already had. I mean, I used to respect Doug. I used to respect Nick. Those guys are in the gutter in my perception. And there's a easy way for them to get out of the gutter if they care what I think, which I'm sure they don't, which would be to tell the freaking truth about Kylie. Tell the truth for Kylie, right? So, um, hello, Sherlocks. I missed that one. Mark, that's cute. Uh, Yeah, so I got really fired up and I didn't like yell at anybody, but I almost felt like I was. So I like tried to back off, but I was like, yeah, the freaking lawsuit is not what tanked AWP. What broke up the group, the corporation, in my opinion, was the Kylie Rodney case. Like that was a hot potato and it blew them up. It blew them out of the water. And then, Jared stuck with it. And I mean, anybody giving that dirtbag any money or business is gross, literally gross. I mean, he's a crook. He's a criminal. He's a, an SO. I mean, he should be not even allowed to live with his children, in my humble opinion. I know that's pretty harsh, but an offender of that type is never safe, in my opinion. I mean, maybe if he were to graduate from some program, they do have programs out there, but they're extremely rare, hard to come by, and hard to graduate from. People relapse. It's a disease. It's gross, gross, gross. Anyway, let's move on. I don't want to get too hung up on that. Did I say everything I needed to say about, I was surprised because it dawned on me that the popular opinion with the AWP is that it was Jared's court case that tanked the group. And no, because that court case is still going on. So I don't think that that's what tanked the group. I think it was um, the specific individuals, the fixers that were involved in Kylie Rodney's case, who were doing everything they could to undermine the credibility of the divers. And they did it. They succeeded. And screw them. Screw them. This isn't about them. This is about Kylie. This is about a little girl who lost her life. And nobody gives a flying F. Nobody there in Truckee and a lot of people nationwide don't freaking care. They're just like, next. We're the freaking unicorns over here in the Squirrel Squad land. So, anyway, I got a little carried away, didn't I? Love ya for that, Jazz. Well, I'm glad I read that right when I did, right after I said I got a little carried away. I know it was typed a few minutes ago, Mark. Yes, they did. Hola, amen. He couldn't stay away from the limelight. Big ego. There you go. I mean, he was very calculating, in my opinion, to get involved with the Kylie Rodney case. He was a professional YouTuber. He knew what he was doing, getting involved in true crime, and he already had a huge following, and then getting involved in an active case, which it's their first time ever getting involved in an active case, and then putting out all that controversial, like, oh yeah, well, we know that there's suspicious things, and um, yeah, they really fueled the fire for the suspicion of not an accident, right? And yeah, I agree, Alice. It's all about Jared, big freaking narcissist. And that's so much of what we deal with in true crime. I mean, that's a lot of what we deal with anywhere in the world, but especially true crime, because I think it almost goes without saying that any perp is a narcissist and has no empathy, or they wouldn't be doing what they do. Good morning, Sherry. Sam, the adventure man, I doubt, and left AWP earlier, didn't he? I'm not familiar with Sam, the adventure man. I mean, I've heard the name once or twice, but I don't know, Ranch Boss. You could inform me on that if you'd like. Um, but let's see. Yeah, I don't want to move on from Kylie's case too quickly. Maybe we'll come back to it because I do want to talk about Idaho 4. I also want to talk about this brand new one, you guys. So there's a lot I want to talk about with Idaho 4 today, but Gloria Ann Clark is an 80-year-old woman who's been missing since New Year's Day, I think over there in the UK. And I saw a 10-minute video that I will put the link in the description. True Crime Rocket Science, again, always the leader of the pack. So he just did that video this morning, and he is questioning any kind of parallels with Nicola Bully, Gaynor Lord, and Claire Marshall, and Gloria Ann Clark. So I think that they're all in a similar close proximity over there across the pond, and that they are all involve rivers, if I'm accurate with that. At least 3 of the 4 involve rivers. Um, anyway, she's 80, she's missing since New Year's, so very sad. Um, and there was this great quote that Nick from True Crime Rocket Science said in his video, which I forget who he was quoting. It's a famous quote. Most men would rather deny a hard truth than face it. And I thought, yeah, it's true. That's true. Um, Denial protects us. It keeps us safe living in our little fantasy land in a sense. I mean, we are all living in denial of some sort. Most of us anyway. I guess I can only speak for myself. Um, every day, but we probably want to deny that I want to deny that coffee is as bad for me as it probably is, because that's my one vice that I will not let go of. I will not even let up on it. I need my coffee, and I'm not ashamed of it. but I do probably try to rationalize that all the dairy that I put in it is decent for my health too. So we live in denial. All of us live in denial, but especially when you're dealing with addictions, which coffee is, and when you're dealing with unsavory behaviors of your own or people that are close to you. And that's how these things continue. So it's good to wake up and smell the coffee, wake up and taste the corruption. Um, yeah, anyway, let's see. Guy McFarland, Mark Zav let it go after the fire cam footage because for some reason she realized that the case was becoming a total shite show. Well, she was really central. I mean, she was a central piece, pivotal to the whole movement of the Kylie Rodney case and Ryan Upchurch and all of the open discussions, all the panels. Um, she did a really good job of propelling that case forward. And she was kind of at the top of her game. And then we all know the stuff that happened that we don't even need to discuss. I mean, she made some major mistakes. She's learned from her mistakes. She's moving forward, and I applaud her for that. She's very dedicated. She's done a lot for justice, and um, I don't know why she got away from Kylie Rodney's case. Like I said, especially because she was kind of the front runner, like definitely one of the front runners, if not the front runner, in my estimation. So, I, from my perspective, I saw a lot of the bigger content creators move away from the Kylie Rodney case after the fire cam footage, and they just kind of wrote it off with that. Hugh Grays was the content creator, I think, that was behind that whole thing with his overlay and all that stuff. And I think it was a farce. I think it was a joke. And I think, again, that it was effective. And that despite the fact that it's, I mean, it was one of the very, very, very first things I said when the whole incident went down, like, literally, like, on August 8th or whatever day it was that I learned about it, and I told you guys I was out camping when I learned about it up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and my first thought, because my husband is a volunteer firefighter, my very first thought was the fire cams. Like, they're gonna know exactly what happened because they have fire cams everywhere up there. I've known people that have been volunteer firefighters in the woods out there, before they had all the technology that they had, when you just had to go climb a tower and hang out for the whole summer. It was a good gig if you liked that kind of thing. I couldn't do it, but and I wouldn't recommend it for females in general to be out there alone like that. But I personally know some that did that, in college for summer jobs. Anyway, back to the point. So yeah, those fire cams and their infrared light, I was like, oh, no problem. They got this. They'll be able to see exactly what happened. And then what was it, like 6 weeks or more before that ridiculous fire cam footage came out? And you always got to look at the entirety of the situation. It wasn't just the fire cam footage, it was the mouse in the grocery store. It was MC Ultra being released onto the streets of YouTube 24 hours before the fire cam footage was released onto the streets of YouTube. And then remember that all of the bigger content creators that were sent emails with this exclusive fire cam footage, they all had their computer systems hacked from opening the file, in my understanding. I mean, I know some of these content creators personally that had to get new systems that were thousands of dollars simply from that freaking email. So I think we need to look at the whole picture in its entirety. So that's when us true crime aficionados had MC Ultra sicked on us. And man, it's just been a nightmare ever since. I mean, she has really spread awful pain and suffering in my estimation. She loves it. She doesn't care. She loves that people are talking about her. It makes her feel famous. It makes her feel important. It doesn't it's like the no publicity is bad publicity. I mean, she's a freaking dirtbag psycho, not a rocket scientist, like the opposite of. And, she's just reveling in it. She's still doing these like 9-hour lives, even though Mrs. G is countering all of her long lives with her own insanely long lives, replaying all of her crap. And I'm personally really glad that Divine Justice, aka Mrs. G, the honey badger, is doing that. I mean, she has some tenacity and stick to itiveness. And she has said again and again, especially in the last couple of days, that if Megan wants her to stop, she'd be happy to, as so long as Megan never speaks of Kylie again. And I think that's a fair deal. I hope that they can make that deal, but we'll see. And even if MC Ultra were to say, "Oh, sure, yeah, I'll do that," what we can trust her about as much as we can trust Scammy, right? I mean, because they're buds. They're in bed together, essentially, not literally, but metaphorically. Anyway, um, yeah, I didn't highlight that one, Guy McFarland, but it sure did get me revved up, didn't it? As I'm trying to say, let's talk about the Idaho 4. So I rewatched a couple of Crime Circus videos because you guys know that I love Drip Drop. I think he's very, very smart. I like his style. I pretty much like everything about him. And I think that he makes a lot of good points and a lot of good content. And when I'm watching videos, I'm usually doing something else while I'm watching them. So if they're good, I need to watch them a second time, or I'm not going to retain so much of it, especially because I'm not always looking at the screen. So, for instance, with his last couple of videos, I wasn't looking at the screen. I was listening and I thought they were great. So today I was trying to watch and, look at the screen as much as I could. But I didn't realize that he was kind of getting at the same thing that I was getting at. Remember the last couple of days I said something about what's behind that good vibes sign in the living room with the ivy? It's like this weird rectangular, oh, sorry, weird rectangular cover, like a wall covering, but it looks to me like it's covering kind of a cabinet. I mean, the size of it is probably roughly 28 inches tall and 22 inches wide. And it is like fake greenery. And then it's got the neon good vibes. And it's in the living room. And it matches, I think, a neon phrase, I think, in Maddie's old room that also said good vibes. Um, might have even said good vibes only. I can't remember for sure. But the one in the living room just says good vibes, or said the one that was in the living room. Um, is my mic working? I just realized it was like folded over my shirt. Hopefully that didn't make it too awful. Um, at least I have it plugged in and everything. I've got my computer plugged in. I got everything plugged in, except me brain. Good old boys trading in their wives. Wait, what? What you talking about, Annie Ruler? Yikes. Are you watching the same video we're watching here? I don't know where that came from. I'm not going to argue with you because yeah, that happens. But yeah, I'm sure in every city across the world, right? Um, anyway, the sign with the good vibes, the ivy colored piece of the wall, in my opinion, goes hand in hand. It's consistent with what is in the very last Crime Circus video about the demolition, and Drip Drop asking what the cutout is behind the fridge. And I can't tell exactly like where the fridge is and where that good vibes sign would be. I don't know if they share that same wall, but they're pretty close to each other. It's on the second floor. He talks about fiber optics and a vent. There's a vent right below the good vibe sign, you guys. Have you noticed that? I thought I noticed that, and then he said it. Drip Drop said it. There was, I mean, it's all history now, but there was a vent right below that good vibes sign. It could just be a coincidence, right? Or it could be that there's some major machinery in there that needs cooling. Could be. So, um, I had not thought about this. This was something I want to kick full credit to Drip Drop. This is brilliant. That when the suspect vehicle number one was making that 3-point turn allegedly in front of the house at roughly 3:30, give or take, AM on November 13th of 2022, um, that activity, the 3-point turn, made it a perfect way for law enforcement to ID that vehicle completely from several different angles. So, to get that on video cam is like a jackpot. So, not only would they have a full knowledge of exactly what vehicle that was, they would also probably be able to see into it, possibly. Um, anyway, a couple other things that I wanted to go on to the coattails of Drip Drop. He talked about someone who got ticketed for going 36 miles per hour in Moscow, and then they crowdsourced funds. And I have no idea who that is. If anyone knows, please put it in chat. Someone who was ticketed by the Moscow PD for doing 36 miles an hour in town. What would that maybe be in a 35 zone? I'm kind of joking. That would have to have been in a 25 zone or maybe even during school when it was 20. But yeah, if you're going 11 miles an hour over the speed limit, the cops very well will pull you over. They might just give you a verbal warning. But this person was ticketed according to Drip Drop, and then they crowdsourced funds for it. And I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar. So if you are, please share. Um, Ah, Anna Bean says, "Oh, you saw the vent right under the good vibe sign." So yeah, if you want to see it again, I will of course link that last video that Drip Drop did about the demolition of 1122 Queen or King Road. So yeah, I found that fascinating. I really did because I had already that idea popped into my head a couple days ago, like, what's up with that good vibes sign? It never occurred to me to be suspicious of that sign, and especially with that weird fake greenery. Never occurred to me until roughly 48 hours ago, and all of a sudden I was like, "Oh, man, that is a very suspicious, piece of home decor." Because you guys know I'm a home decor expert aficionado, right? It's a weird piece of home decor. It's ugly. I mean, quite frankly, I don't mind fake greenery, but that's ugly. Square and then with a neon sign, it's odd. I've never seen anything like that. And I look at a lot of home decor. I'm like, it's one of my many addictions. So I don't know about you guys, but I've never seen a neon sign on fake greenery like that. It's very ugly. I've never really analyzed it because I just liked the phrase good vibes and I thought it was cool that the college kids liked the phrase good vibes. I was just like, yeah, just go with it. Good vibes are good, right? Except, is there a double meaning? Is there something more to it? I don't know if like the Urban Dictionary has something with that phrase. I mean, to me, it's an old hippie phrase, and I know that it's gotten a lot of mileage in more recent years, and that it kind of never really went out of fashion, but it has come more into fashion, I'd say, in the last decade or so, give or take. And another question from the Mr. Drip Drop is, why was the flippin' ladder never removed from the premises? And again, we get so um, hammered by all the gaslighting, we can't even keep up. We can't see the forest through the trees. Why was the ladder never removed? Like, that's ridiculous. And we've all seen the crime scene tape tied to the ladder. Like, that's crazy. That ladder should have been dusted for fingerprints and taken into evidence. Like, unbelievable. Never removed. It was still there during the demolition, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was still there during the demo. That's flipping crazy if so. Let's see. Geez, didn't know Doug was back with Jared. I had no idea, Sherry. I'm glad I'm not the only one that was completely clueless. But yeah, I don't pay attention to Jared or AWP. I thought Doug just kind of disappeared. I figured he just ducked out. Where'd my drink go? Um, oh, and I might be getting monetized. I don't know. I do not know. I haven't tried to do anything about it in a long time, but it looked like things were different when I was setting up this live. Um, so I don't want to blow it by advertising for Simple Truth organic veggie juice. It just happens to be what I'm drinking, and I thought I'd share because you know how I'm always telling you guys eat your veggies or drink them. This has celery, cucumber, and lemon, and it is not that bad tasting. And that's all it is. Let's see. Organic celery, organic cucumber, and organic lemon. 3 ingredients. 3 simple ingredients. And yeah, the simple truth, that's all we want. Whether it's our juice or our true crime. Just give us the truth. You can't handle the truth, right? So yeah, I'm trying to be good. Trying with my new year, trying to do all the veggies that I spout off and on about. And it is hard to eat them all sometimes. Although I try. I do try. Anyway, back to the point. Hairdresser has that greenery on the walls. I don't remember if there's anything else in it. Well, ask them what it's hiding, Anna Bean. And do they have a neon sign in it? I mean, that greenery on the wall, to me, I would think it would look pretty with like roses woven into it or wildflowers or something like that. Um, Even bunny rabbits, squirrels. But, neon, that's just kind of a juxtaposition of it's an odd mix, in my opinion. Anyway, enough about my taste in home decor. Um, the ladder, the ladder, the ladder, the ladder. And then one more question that Drip Drop put out there that I was like, who is he talking about? And I haven't seen if any of you guys responded with who it might have been that was ticketed for doing 36 miles an hour in Moscow and then crowdsourced funds. Please answer if you know, or even just say, I don't know. So I know you're paying attention at least, and I can give you credit. So, um, this is the other question. Who was staying at the Best Western, who said that they were staying at the Best Western there in Moscow, and then said, no, I'm staying somewhere nicer. And then they were doing some kind of e-banking. And again, this is all in Drip Drop's last video that I'm going to put the link in the description. I'm going to put the link to his last 2 videos in the description. But I think all of these questions that I have are from his very last one. So who was staying at the Best Western? Or who was it who said that they were staying at the Best Western? I think he might have said that their names started with a letter. No, that wasn't right. I don't think he did. I was going to say started with the letter C, but I think I'm crossing my wires with another content creator talking about somebody else. Um, so yeah, there was one more thing. And I don't think I said this yet. Maybe I did say it 5 or 10 minutes ago, that these professionals, this is not from Drip Drop. This is actually from Get a Clue. Professionals don't only protect themselves, they protect their industry. And I thought that was really brilliant because I've always seen that, like with corruption, with any kind of bureaucracy, that the people in the bureaucracy that will fight to protect the bureaucracy are the ones that will rise to the top. Like that's usually your administration. The whistleblowers are not going to rise to the top. They will get the axe most likely, right? They will get mistreated until they leave. They will be intimidated most likely, but that's protecting the institution. That's protecting the bureaucracy. That's usually to protect the money making machine, whatever it is, whether that's a university or a city or a company like Procter and Gamble. And I'm not saying that they've ever done anything bad, but any big entity, any big corporation generally has that same MO of doing everything they can to protect the bottom line. It's very logical when that's your goal as a business is to make money, but it's also important to have integrity and to not do evil. I mean, when you're covering up shady things, that's evil, in my opinion. And then when your company gets associated with that kind of cover up, it's not good for business either. People don't want to do business with a place like that, whether that's a university or a company or a city. I won't name any. I don't want to get myself in trouble. I was only using Procter and Gamble as a an example. Any company like Kraft or um, you know, Dairy Queen, I mean, Speedway, anything, Nike, anything. Now all these people are going to be slapping me with lawsuits. See, this is why it's good that my channel's small. I'll be like, yeah, don't worry, nobody heard me. I only have like 20 people in my chat. Okay. Let's see. And Anna Bean says, yes, I wonder who he was talking about too. Yes, Drip Drop with the who was staying at the Best Western, or who said that they were staying at the Best Western and said, no, I'm staying somewhere nicer, and then was doing the e-banking. And I don't think that was the same person that he was talking about who got ticketed for doing 36 miles an hour in Moscow and then crowdsourced funds. I don't know who that is. I mean, a guess would be maybe Emma Bailey. I don't know. That's just a shot in the dark. Let's see. I wrote about Nicola Bully and other wives in creeks trading in. Oh my goodness, Annie Ruler, thank you for explaining yourself. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And even with this 80-year-old Gloria Ann Clark, I wonder if she's married and if her husband's still alive and has a hot young girlfriend. I mean, I'm kind of kidding, but there's truth to every joke. Yeah. I haven't followed those cases so closely. I'll be honest about that. The Nicola Bully case always was sus to me, always. I mean, it added up about as much as Kylie's case, really. Just not at all. It made no sense. So, and then the other ones, Claire Marshall and Gaynor Lord. I know Gaynor Lord was more recently. Um, And again, I did not follow those 2, so I don't know. I just find it fascinating that they're all 3 of them. It seems like in the same age range and in the same, general geographic vicinity. So, it's curious, isn't it? But yeah, trading in their wives, Annie. Yuck. Lease for 1122 King states maintenance twice a year. I do not want that service. Oh my goodness, Annie Ruler, where did you see this? Was this in a video that a content creator did, or were you looking at records online? I've never heard that. The lease for 1122 King states HVAC maintenance 2 times a year. I do not want that service. So yeah, I mean, being a homeowner, it seems like it's wise to do an HVAC service once a year, and usually at the beginning of the winter weather so that you stay warm enough. I mean, you could consider doing it at the beginning of summer too so that you stay cool enough, but then it's expensive and it's a pain in the butt. So, as long as everything's working, I'd just go with the once a year. Um, but you're making me remember the HVAC truck that was there on the premises shortly after the slaying, right? And then everyone was talking about how the criminal defendant was well versed in HVAC, and I think his father was too. I think they both had training in HVAC maintenance. I think that's what his father did for the school system back there in Pennsylvania for many, many years. And then I think that's something that BK, like that was one of his first careers, was getting HVAC training. It's good training to have. I mean, it's a good field to be in, but also just good to have, especially if you're trying to set up surveillance systems for people secretly, right? I'm not saying anybody did. I'm just saying. Nico Mingo, good afternoon. Thanks for coming in. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Thanks for being here. Poise the noise. And yeah, so nobody has an answer to who was staying at the Best Western with the doing the e-banking. Said they were staying at the Best Western and then said, no, 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 I'm staying somewhere else nicer. So it was like they realized that that was stupid to tell people where they were, right? I mean, on Zav Girl's panel last night, some of the other people on the panel were from Indiana, and I said, "Oh, I'm your neighbor. I'm here in Ohio." And Zav was like, "What? You're here in Ohio? Where about?" And I was like, within a couple hours of Columbus." And I know what city she's in Ohio. I'm not going to say, but I think the higher profile content creators, I think you can probably find that information online. I'm not sure, but it seems like some content creators are very free with whatever city they live in. I know Shan from Squirrels on Fire is, and Ara is, but she lives in a giant city down there in South Texas. I won't name it. Um, so anyway, it was cute that Tiffany didn't know that I was in Ohio too. There's a lot of content creators from this great state, and I hope I'm not outing her with her first name either. I think most people know her first name, so we just like to call her Zav Girl, right? And no, I will never, never let anyone know my first name. It's Jazz. No, Xena. So I think it's so funny that people want to criticize content creators for not using their names as if that makes them less credible. Because, like anybody in, let's say, the entertainment industry, none of those people use their real names, right? And a lot of people change their names for various reasons, but especially in true crime, Mark, it's kind of foolish to use your real name. I know that's not your real name, right? Like Annie Ruler, Sherry, these aren't your real names, I hope, Anna Bean. If they are, you might want to change your real name. Just leave that one as your handle and change your name on paper so that people can't find you because the world is full of stalkers and harassers, and especially in social media, and especially I think in this genre. We all need to be careful. So let's see what else we got here. That greenery is so dollar or craft store a lot down here in Cabo. That's cute. Yeah, and the greenery, you can do a lot of different things with it, but to hang a rectangle on a wall and then, without a frame, and then to put the neon in it, I just have never seen that. Maybe that's just me. I mean, I do have a kid in college who lives in college housing with a bunch of other college girls, so I've never seen anything like that in any of the housing. So I don't know, but that's Ohio, not Idaho, even though a lot of people don't know the difference. Um, there's a lot of difference, of course. So, Mom First says hello to everybody, and Axe Guy, making excuses for not his car in Eugene. Cover your arse. Um, Yeah, I'm not sure if you're answering one of the questions with like the 36 miles an hour in Moscow or the Best Western. Um, I'm not sure if you're connecting that, but the Axe Guy making excuses for not his car in Eugene, CYA. So it's so weird that car. See, you said Eugene, and I always heard it was Eugene too. But when I looked it up a few weeks ago, it was outside of Portland, not outside of Eugene. Eugene and Portland are like 2 hours away from each other, and it was much closer to Portland. Um, so I thought that was interesting that the information, it was misinformation and maybe disinformation when it first happened. And then the fact that that car is registered to the previous owner of the house that just got demoed, that he then gave to the billionaire president, or I mean, he gave it to the school, he gave it to the University of Idaho, but of course the president is going to have full control over that property ultimately. So yeah, Dan Estes also living in that town in Colorado. I don't have it in front of me right now. I think it starts with an L. That small town where the license plate reader just happened to pick up Koberger's license plate after the feds lost him when they were surveilling him, allegedly thinking that he'd slaughtered 4 people in 10 minutes. And then they let him out of their sights. Like, what were they doing? Like, sleeping on the job? Making a Starbucks run? I mean, come on. They act like they just blinked and all of a sudden he disappeared, and then they couldn't catch him for 13 hours until that license plate reader. But the fact that that license plate reader just happens to be from the same small town in Colorado that Dan Estes lives in, come on. There's no such thing as coincidence in a quadruple unaliving, in my humble opinion. FBI, it is how you move up, catch a few good cases, look like a hero, and promote. Yeah, right. And you always want to pin all of the evil onto just one person because you don't want to look at the messy, complex reality of many people playing a part. You just want to make it one bad guy because then it's all a lot easier to clean up. Nico, right? So maybe that former owner has connections to execution of the word is behind the heart. So until the next person types in the case. Okay. So maybe that former owner has connections to execution of case 2. Oh, Nico, quit complicating things. Yeah, I think you're got a good point there. Don't you guys think Nico is making a very sharp point? 100%. I mean, the car, the address, giving it away. I mean, they're in the real estate business. That house is an investment, whether it's worth 400,000, 600,000, a million. is immaterial. They own that house to make money. So why they would just give it to the university, there had to be some kind of payoff, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly. Mr. Rich Lux, who coined that little phrase, cracks me up every time. Anyway, old lady, grandson impatient for inheritance. Wait a second, Annie Ruler, what are you saying? Oh, old lady, the 80-year-old in the UK, Gloria Ann Clark. I don't know. Is her grandson involved? All I know is from what was in True Crime Rocket Science's 10-minute video from this morning. Called in the license plate reader info. Who called in the license plate reader info? Are you saying the owner? Is it Lardo? Is that the name of the town, you guys? If you can, oh, you know what? I have my phone now that I have my laptop to do my video on. Let's see, what is it? The Colorado license plate reader. Coburger. Let's see if it comes up with all my typos and everything. No, it didn't, I don't think. It's like, what are you talking about? Automatic license plate reader. Sorry, you guys. Loma, Colorado. Loma. You guys probably already have it in the chat, huh? So Loma, Colorado, which I've never heard of, and I've been cross country a bunch of times. I've been to a lot of places in Colorado. I've been to almost every state in our country, but I've never even heard of Loma, Colorado. Let's see how small of a community is. I'm going to bet really small. Loma. Probably 10 people. Nope, 1,314. Tiny, like if you blink, you're going to miss it. 1,314. Now, another question I have is, how far is Loma from the sand dunes to the sand dunes? Because those sand dunes keep showing up in all these cases, don't they? It doesn't really say. Anyway, we can look at that more. Loma, okay, one more second, and then I'll put this gadget down. So it's 5 hours and 4 minutes. I'm glad I looked. So yeah, they're nowhere near each other. They're like opposite ends of the state. So Loma is very close to Moab, actually. Oh no! No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. It's very close to Moab. That's interesting. And then the Great Sand Dunes National Park is very far. And I promised you guys I'd set this down, right? So I'm gonna have to stick to that promise. I am one of these nerds that loves maps. So yeah. There we go. Should I show you guys what I'm looking at? If I do, you probably won't be able to see it. Wait a second. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm putting it down now. There, I'm sticking to my word. I'm being good. Loma, 1,300 people. That is so tiny. So the fact that of all the places that they could have read, had the license plate automatic reader give them that information, it just happens to be this town that the owner of the house is from, and he's got a car exactly like that. So maybe he's the one who is trying to confuse his own car with somebody else's car. That's what you were saying, Nico, right? Okay, my brain is about to explode. Old lady, grandson inpatient for inheritance, called in license plate reader info on ad with floor plans. But the car was registered to a person. Yeah, yeah, Nico. The guy who owned 1122, whose name allegedly Dan Estes owned that property, and he owned a lot of the properties. So he owned the houses on either side of it that are on the same lot. He also owned, still owns probably the house across the street where Jack D rented an apartment in. I think that one is 1127 King Road. I think the other properties, the other houses, residences on that same plot of property, I think are 118 and 126. And then 122 has that walkway that goes, splits through in between them. HVAC service, leave property 2 times a year. Oh, you have to actually leave the property when they come? That's really weird. Because, yeah, with most HVAC service, you can be there when they're doing it. I mean, that's bizarre. No notification. Oh, Fred Field, thanks for coming in. And yeah, I am severely shadow banned because I know nothing and I'm just full of crazy conspiracies. So yeah, for some reason, my subs keep getting taken away, and my loyal subs like you don't get their notifications. So turn on, make sure your bell is on, make sure you're still subbed. Thank you. Thank you for coming in and thank you for letting me know. Because, yeah, did not want himself equated with Eugene Elantra. He was the axe thrower. Maybe someone can reach him. Is that the guy who was sleeping in the Elantra? But you're talking about the one that was crashed, and I believe that that was outside of Portland, not Eugene. I always thought it was Eugene too. And then, like I said, when I looked it up a few weeks ago, it said right outside of Portland, Oregon. Regarding the cheaper hotel. Oh, thank you, Annie. Did not want himself equated with the Eugene Elantra. He was the axe thrower. Maybe someone can research him. Regarding the cheaper hotel. You mean the Best Western, and then he said, "No, I'm staying somewhere nicer." No such thing as coincidence when it comes to, and that quote is from one of my all-time favorite movies, you guys, Zero Effect, with Ben Stiller and Bill Pullman and Ryan O'Neal, who just passed away recently. It was his first role when he'd been in a hiatus for 20 years or so. Let's see. Good point, Nico. Eugene has properties that Axe Guy works for Etsy. What? Annie Ruler, again, my brain can't take it anymore. It's just going to split wide open. Oh, that's kind of gross with like the axe throwing concept. Sorry. Trigger alert, trigger warning. All right, you guys, we are just over an hour. I'm hoping to be able to do some longer lives this week. We're already at Wednesday, so I don't want to promise since we only have 2 days this week, but I'm working towards that. So stick with me if you like the longer lives. I know a lot of people like their lives to be like at least a couple of hours. That's pretty much all I can do is a couple of hours. I can be on someone else's panel for much longer, but to do my own live, and I mean, especially because I don't have panels, I have the chat, so I have to look at my notes and read that, and all the reading. It's rough, especially with dyslexia. Don't you feel sorry for me? No, I'm just kidding. I felt really sorry for me when I was doing it on my cell phone. I was just like, "Man, I'm just dying over here." I didn't even clean my glasses before we started, and I think I've been able to catch every letter. I meant to clean my glasses, and I had my eyeglasses cleaner somewhere handy, but anyway, it don't matter. Love will save the day. Love is all you need. And subscribe, share, turn on your notification bell. S'il vous plaît. Thanks so much, you guys. Oh, and in case you didn't focus on the mouse, mouse is right there. I think the mouse next to the pumpkin is cool because the mouse is felted wool, and then the pumpkin is just like a crocheted acrylic. But they go nicely together because, like, the pumpkin and the mouse, it could turn into a chariot for Cinderella, right? Isn't that what the chariot was? It was like the three mice became the stagecoaches for the um, pumpkin chariot. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, they seem like they should go together, so they're together. And then I got my little putty tat, my 3D printed. And if I'm not. I was gonna say I'm not gonna touch it because if I do, that thing's gonna fall. I didn't realize that was all precarious. Everything's so precarious in the world. I always say that to my kids, like, everything is so dangerous. Like, have you ever dropped your cell phone, and it's like it's just a cell phone, it doesn't seem like a dangerous thing, but the corner of it hits you right on the top of the foot and feels like it's gonna, like, break all your freaking bones? Everything is so dangerous, right? Especially when it comes to your feet and tripping and falling. So that's the 3D kitty cat that there's two of so that I can make them kiss or put their tail to tail, or you can put them side by side and then use it as a cell phone stand. I think that was one of my kids' first little 3D printing projects, but man, that 3D printing stuff is so freaking cool. I mean, he can make parts for cars because now he's an auto mechanic too. He can make you anything you need. So if you need anything, you can put your order in with my kid. I've told him I've said, I can probably sell some of your 3D printing stuff on my YouTube channel. And I'm sure he'd be down with that because he's trying to save money to buy himself a new car since, he just got his driver's license over the freaking Christmas break. No need to waste any time. I mean, he's got access to a car, so he's good. But, of course, the way teenagers are, they want their own signature car that represents their cool personality and all that good stuff, right? Whereas me, I just drive a minivan because, soccer mom, minus the soccer. Although I did play soccer in high school and college. I think I've told you guys that, but I was more into volleyball, basketball, everything, track, cross country. But yeah, volleyball was my biggest love of sport. Anyway, enough about me. How you doing? Are you guys ready to wrap her up? Let's see. I have not gotten your email today, Fred Field. I could look at it while we're here live, but I won't since I told everybody I'd put my gadget down, my device. Because, yeah, I do what the teenagers do, so I don't rag on them for it. Like, I get the device in front of me and I just go into the zone. And it's just like, Mom, where'd Mom go? Oh, she's right there. She's just on her device. Yep. I will look for your email, Fred. Thank you. Oh, Rachel says that's so cool. Yeah, the 3D printing is way freaking cool. Like, when he first was getting into it, I thought it was kind of odd. Like, I thought it was cool, but I thought it was kind of a random thing. But man, he's a smart kid. He wants to be like the next Elon Musk. So that's what he's working towards. And he's only 16, so he's got a couple of years to get there, right? Before he like hits his peak stride and then it's all downhill from there, isn't it? No, that's just for women and fertility. Do you guys know that? Am I being like completely random right now? Do you know that as women, we peak in our fertility in our late teens and it's all downhill from there? It's not what they tell you. They try to tell you that you peak in your 20s and then it's downhill in your 30s and then you hit a brick wall at 40. Totally not the truth. It's your teens. And then, but they want people to get educated and have a career so that they can contribute to the economy before they go get, knocked up with babies, because those will derail all your plans, won't they? Cute, but they will derail every single plan you have, especially if you plan to sleep or have a clean house, have all your laundry done. Good luck. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up since I'm getting a little loopy here. Um, where does Etsy live? I feel BK may have been a rug runner. You mean like the kind that goes in your hallway, like that kind of rug runner? No, I'm just kidding. When I said rugs the other day and I didn't say anything about the letter D, I thought some people probably have no idea what I'm talking about. And they're just like, why is this wacky lady talking about rugs in her video? So yeah, that's just code for, starts with a D in case anybody hasn't gotten it yet. I felt so bad on Zav Girl last night. I said a bad word about Jared. Instead of SA, I used the one that starts with R, and I was like, "Oh, I said, I mean ape. I meant to say ape. I was talking about apes, Planet of the Apes." So yeah, we got to be careful with our language because certain words definitely flag the algorithm. So yeah, like rug runner and essay and unaliving, and you guys know the drill. Anyway, so where does Etsy live? So he lives in that Loma, Colorado. And yeah, so maybe he was running rugs when he happened to get because why did he go down that way anyway? That was like 800 miles out of his way for going to Pennsylvania. And that time of year, believe it or not, the December, it's not that bad crossing over the Rockies with snow. The snow isn't really bad until more like January. That's when it gets bad. I mean, the Rockies are always difficult, kind of like the Appalachians. No fun, not fun for sure. Colorado, Annie, Bluebird Realty. Oh no, not with the Bluebird Realty, Rachel Smith. Because that Bluebird Realty, you guys. Oh no, Blue Sky Realty, isn't it? Isn't it Blue Sky Realty? I'll have to look it up because that was a realtor who called in 911 because there was a murder of crows at the 1122 residence in August. I think it was August of 2023. Blue Sky Realty. We'll look that up. We'll talk about that in our next video, huh? Blue Sky, Blue Bird. Cerulean Blue. You guys all know Cerulean Blue. That's one of the best X-Files ever. Placer County Sheriff is hiring. Should we apply? Well, yeah, they pay like $500,000 and you don't even have to show up for work, Fred. You probably don't even have to know how to do the job since you don't ever have to do anything. So bad. I'm just getting a little punch drunk, huh? Is that where BK license plate was picked up? Yes. Maybe was in charge of something for SD. Yep, Annie. And let's see. Franchise is Blue Sky. Oh, okay. So he's with Bluebird Realty. Is that part of the Blue Sky franchise? Or are you correcting yourself, Rachel? I'll look them both up. So Fred Field, they put up a YouTube video and mentioned taking care of their community. Oh no, not the community, not that again. All right, you guys, I'm going to sign off. We're just about an hour and 15 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for supporting this channel. I am trying to keep a solid foothold in the true crime community because with all the shadow banning, you guys, my channel has barely grown at all in the last 12 months. It's cray cray. Sure, it could be because, I don't have all the bells and whistles, whatever. I don't know. And I don't even want to worry about it. I really don't care. Other than that, I want to make sure that I have the viewer base to stick around. That's all I care about. So I just like to do this. I've never given a flying F if I make a dime with it, although it would be nice to, get reimbursed for all the freaking laptops I've burned through. They put up a YouTube video. Okay, I already read that one. Hit the like button on the way out. Yes, thank you, Fred Field. Thanks for reminding everyone. All right, peace out. Have a lovely rest of your Wednesday, rest of your week. I hope that you can get some sunshine and fresh air and vegetables and high protein. Stay hydrated, get your exercise, get your Zen on, and just feel productive, be productive, and just love yourself and love thy neighbor. What else? Be forgiving of yourself and forgiving of those who trespass against you. Um, Cain, is dad. Sage is the son that called the crows in. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I thought it said franchise. See, I didn't clean the glasses. There you go. Rachel, thank you so much for that. I'm glad we caught that before signing off. Okay, Kane France Stitch is dad. Sage is the son that called the crows in. Their company is Blue Sky Green Grass. Dan Etsy works for Bluebird. Rachel, how do you know all this stuff? Is this just from your sleuthing on the Google? Goodbye, Anna Bean says. Bye, everyone. All right, signing off. Light and love. See you soon. Have a lovely afternoon. Take care. Thanks again.